Hi, this is Gary with MacMost Now. On today's episode, let's look at managing storage on your iOS device. Now, if I sync my iOS device with my Mac or PC and iTunes, I can see it here on the left and I can select it, and then along the bottom I get this bar here that tells me all the different things that are on it, and I can kind of get a general idea of, this is much used by apps and photos, and there's video and audio there. I always have this big other thing here, which is something you really can't micromanage at the iTunes level. Under apps, I can also see the apps here I've got and the sizes, and then I can also scroll to the bottom and see only the apps that actually have documents that can transfer back and forth with iTunes. So it's not all apps. But I can click on some and then get some information here about say the files that are on there. And then I can go into music and movies and TV shows and podcasts and kind of manage what's on my iOS device that way. So you can do a lot more on your iOS device. So I'm going to use an iPhone here as an example, but it works on an iPad too. I'm going to go into the Settings app, and under there I'm going to go to General and then Usage. And under Usage I can see here the storage used by each app. So this pretty much represents that other section that we saw in iTunes, and it sorts it in order here. So I can see that I'm using the most space on my iPhone here with Audible, with a bunch of audiobooks there, and second most are photos and camera. So what exactly is being used by each one? Well, you can actually select each one and it'll show you. Now for most of them you're going to get simply documents and data. Most third-party apps are just going to basically just have everything lumped under that one category. And there's nothing you can really do except delete the app right then and there. But other apps, particularly the Apple ones, will have more information. For instance, under Photos and Camera, it actually breaks it up into the three sections. Camera Roll, the Photo Library, which are photos synced from my Mac, and Photo Stream. And you saw there were really no options there, but other ones will have options. Like for instance, if we go to podcasts, we actually see everything on a per podcast basis, and I can hit the edit button there and actually select something and delete it. So I can do that even though I'm not running the podcast app right now. I can delete it right from this section here. Now usually only the top ones are shown. I have to tap Show All Apps and I can see more. And I can see videos, for instance. I have the same editing ability here. And under iBooks though, it's only documents and data there. So it really depends on the specific app, and you can kind of browse through it and see what it is that you've got and see if there's anything worth deleting. Now in a lot of cases you're thinking, like in Twitter, there's no files. You're not saving any files or creating things like you would say in Pages and Numbers or using Photos. But there's still settings, there's still caches, there's still things it remembers. So it will put that under Documents and Data. And in general, you don't want to delete anything unless you know it's there. For instance, settings and things might go away for an app if you just go ahead and just delete it. And if you look through them, sometimes you find some interesting things. Like for instance, Safari doesn't say documents and data, but it tells you what it has stored in its offline reading list. And you could edit and basically remove everything in the offline reading list right through here. So if you see an app that just says documents and data and it's taking up a lot of space and there's no option to edit what's in there, then you have to go to the app to actually manage what's there. For instance, in Audible, I would just go in and see which books I've downloaded to my iPhone, and if I've already finished with a book, I can remove it from within Audible. If I'm looking in Pages, I can see what documents I've got there and I can delete some of those documents. So for all the apps that don't have direct controls there, usually you have controls inside the app, and how you do it depends on what the app is and how the app works. But at least by using this usage list here, you can see which apps are using up the most space, and then you can go into them and fix the problem. For instance, you may have downloaded a few audiobooks and forgotten they're there, and then wondering why your space is being taken up by a lot of documents and data. And this will help you identify the problem, and then you can go into Audible and remove some of them. Same thing with photos, same thing with other graphics programs. You may play around with a graphics program or a music program and fill up a lot of space with it, and then forget to remove those documents you no longer need. So I hope you found this useful. Till next time, this is Gary with MacMost Now. If you found this video useful, there's one thing you can do for me in return. It won't cost you anything and it'll just take you a few seconds. If you're not already at MacMost.com, go there and then look for the video you just watched and go to that page. Underneath the video you'll see a bunch of different links that help you share the video with friends. take a second to click the like button. This sends a signal out to the rest of the internet that the video is worth watching. Thanks.